All right, we're going to get started here. Tonight, we're going to talk about God's ambassadors. We, as safety team members, need to be God's ambassadors. I think we've kind of gotten away from what our main objective is in the church. And this is one of these that, like I said, I've talked to multiple church leaders, and they are really excited, especially on our end where we're at, of what we're talking about doing. So the first thing that we want to do is go ahead and let Jessica do her current events. So Jessica, I'm going to let you take over.
So for those of you that don't know, every Sunday we send out a current events email, and it's just some specific Google alerts that we put out, and we kind of keep an eye on things. And then every Sunday we send out the events that we saw throughout the week. And then sometimes we'll throw in a little, here's how you can avoid this happening, or some other related news regarding church safety. And so I just was scrolling through and I found two that I kind of wanted to talk about tonight. The first one was, if you were attending our December or November trainings, you know that we talked a lot about cars in churches. We just had another incident where a drunk driver crashed his car into a church. And we're seeing a lot of that. I guess drivers are getting worse. And so make sure that if your church is near a large intersection, or if it's near any road really, that you consider putting up either heavy planters or maybe some bollards or something to prevent cars from having access, even planting trees if there's a lot of field area, just to kind of stop a car if it either veers off the road intentionally or unintentionally. You kind of want to look at that and see if there's anything that you can do to prevent it. And then the second thing that we wanted to bring up, this happened on the 8th, but we still don't have a lot of information about it because a minor is involved. So I'm still trying to look more into it, and I'll put more about it on the current events email. But there was an incident where a woman was filming a child inside of a church, and either the woman was making accusations that she had herself had been kidnapped or that the child had been kidnapped. It sounds like there was a mental health issue. But all we do know is that there was a woman who claimed to be a YouTuber and was filming this particular child inside of a church. So this goes back to when we talked about a while ago having cameras inside of churches. If you see anybody filming a child and it doesn't look to be their child, you should probably contact the parents if you know them, or just try and locate them and then deal with it how you want to. But just to keep an eye on that. Nobody should be filming children that aren't theirs in the church unless they're maybe a part of church staff or something like that. But just keep an eye on that. And then, like I said, if we find out more, I'll do some digging and see if I can put anything in Sunday's current events. And that was all that I have for tonight. And if you want to be a part of those current events, we're going to send out a follow-up email after this training, and you can just reply current events and we'll get you on that list.
All right, thanks, Jess. All right, let's get started. One of the things that we talk about all the time, and we call ourselves a lot of times, are the watchmen on the wall, and it is to keep the church safe, or the flock. This is great, except that if you kind of look at this picture, I mean, it kind of gives you the idea. We stand in a corner sometimes with our arms folded, and we just watch the people come in and out of our church. We're always looking for the thing that does not look right, the DLR. Well, I got to talking to my pastor about a couple of things, and then also this was weighed heavy on my heart because it just I started digging more and more into what was going on in our church. And I felt like we as a safety team were doing ourselves an injustice by not being more involved with kind of getting to know the people that are coming into the church. So when I went and started looking at watchmen, I found out something very interesting that I thought that I would relate to you tonight. In Ezekiel 3:17, God said to the prophet Ezekiel, "Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Israel. Therefore, hear a word from my mouth and give them warning from me." Now, we talk a lot about Ezekiel 33 because that's where it really starts to talk about that when the watchman gives the warning and they don't heed, then the blood is on them. But if the watchman does not give that warning, then the blood, if something happens, then the blood is on them. And we kind of relay that to not only us as the members of the church or the members of the safety team, but also to those leaders that are leading the church that are kind of hesitant to do a safety team. And so we really emphasize that Ezekiel 33 is important to read and understand what really our job is doing. Now, I was reading another article and it went in and said, it says, you can also imagine the watcher standing vigil at other times, observing the daily life of the city. Okay, that's what we should be doing, is watching the daily life of our church. He could see much of the activity in the streets and the markets. That's how we place ourselves inside the church. And we watched people coming in and out. He knew the people, their work, their habits, and their lifestyles. Now, that's where we fall short, because a lot of times we don't know the people, their work, or habits, and their lifestyles. These are things that we fall short on. Now, to explain it a little bit more, in police work, we used to have this thing to where we would just do a walk and talk. And that would be where we would have somebody in our neighborhood that we've never seen anymore, and we would just go up and start a conversation with them. It would be a friendly conversation about the day or things like that. And as we went on, we would introduce ourselves to this person. We would try to get as much information as possible. A lot of times they would tell you a lot of things about themselves. And once you built a rapport, then it became something that they would come to you if there was issues. So of course, if they didn't want to talk to you, it put them on kind of the did not look right list. And you would kind of pay attention to them when you saw them in their transactions and their daily business. So it goes back to say, if his position was near the city gate, he could also observe the business of the city transactions by its officials. And if you go and read in Ruth 4, 1 through 12, at the very end of it, that's where they were talking about, Boaz was talking about having Ruth as his wife, and he went to the elders and he spoke to them. But also at the very end of it, in verse 11 and 12, it talks about the city officials or the watchmen that also observed this and was a part of the decision or a part of the legality of the decision that was made. So when we talk about these things, we need to be more involved with what is going on inside our church service. Now, one of the verses that really bothered me as far as us not doing this, of course, is Matthew 28, 16 through 20. And of course, that is a great commission. And I really started to look at this because I feel a lot of times that our safety team members feel like that they're not a part of this. And this is where it really bothers me. Then the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. When they saw him, they worshiped him, but some doubted. Then Jesus came to them and said, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to you, given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. Now, sometimes safety team members feel like that's not their responsibility. Sometimes safety members say, well, wait a minute, I'm here to protect the flock. That's really not what this is all about. Christ didn't say, okay, only the safety team members, you don't have to listen to this. We are supposed to be a part of this. We are supposed to be making disciples. We're supposed to be baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I've commanded. We need to be Christian leaders inside our church, not just guys that stand on the wall, cross our hands, and make sure that we stare at everybody, but we truly need to be leaders of the church. So when we get into things that people want to shy away with, all they're doing is doing a disservice to your minister, your staff, and all the things. Let me give you a couple examples. Over the Christmas holidays, we had 7 services. And one of the services, right at the end of the service, we had a guy that walked in 10 minutes before the service was over with, walked into, he found one of our middle doors that should have been locked, and he found it open, walked right in. That was a mistake. We realized right away. And so we immediately corrected that. But the thing that bothered me the most about it is he walked in, took out his camera, his phone, and he started videotaping the service. Now, I was about to go and talk to him about his videoing when he stopped. Service was still not over, but it was, I mean, they were getting ready. We light a candle and we sing Silent Night, and we end the service. But before the service ended, he walked out. Before I had a chance to go over and talk to him, he had walked out. I approached him outside when he got outside, and I just said, "Can I ask you a question? What is going on?" I mean, I just tried to be as friendly as possible, but I said, "You came into the church a little late, 10 minutes before the service was over." About that time, he put his hands in his pockets, and of course, the police part of me came out, and I just asked him to take his hands out of his pocket. I just wanted to make sure he did not have a weapon. He became very antsy. He was very nervous. He'd said he'd been arrested before. We didn't get into what, but then all of a sudden, when I was really wanting to kind of like dig down into some of it, listen, pal, this is wrong and all stuff like this, a little voice in my head said, invite him to church. So I told him, I said, listen, his statement was that he was videotaping for his mother, who was not able to come to church. And, he was just trying to get a little to show her everything that was going on. Well, that didn't make sense because he wasn't there more than 10 minutes. And number two, every single one of our services was put out online at the same time, simulcast out at the same time. So because of that, I didn't believe his story, but I don't know what it was, gentlemen. I cannot tell you. I was very hesitant of trusting anything this guy said or anything this guy did. And I had one of my other safety team members there, but because of it being Christmas, I felt like the Holy Spirit was just saying, be nice, this guy, be nice, this guy, be nice, this guy. And I found out that he had a drug problem, but I invited him to our men's group. I invited him to church. But the more I got to thinking about it, the more I kind of thought that he was probably an auditor. And we've talked about those before. Because of the increase in COVID cases, and because of the way that we are in the state of Florida, where we're very open, we're not wearing masks. We're not doing the 6 feet and all these things like this. I mean, we're probably a spreader with the Omicron. I mean, I'm not going to say that we're not, but he was videoing it. I think that he was going to use it that in case there was an outbreak from our church, he could point at this and say, see, it's because of y'all gathering together at Christmas. All right, let it be. We're just going to continue on. But it gave me the opportunity to witness to him. But it also explained, because I told him who I was. I told him that I was in charge of the safety of the church, and this did not look right. And he admitted that it did not look right. He even told me, yeah, I can see where that's a little suspicious. But I was still able to witness to him. But I also put him on notice that we have a safety team in our church, and we're not going to allow you to do these things. We just kind of like, right then and there, we spoke to him about it. So these are things that the leaders of the church were happy about, because we're talking to these people instead of waiting for somebody or not talking to them at all. So then I put out an email about, we really need to start thinking about who we served, because, I had these guys that, I had one of our guys that just concerned me because of the equipment he was carrying on his belt. I mean, I had to talk to him about it. And I had this question because we want to step away from the people that we're supposed to be protecting and stand there like the security guard. But yet, who do we serve? If we serve ourselves, if we are serving ourselves, I mean, if it is who we're trying to serve as ourselves, then we're in the wrong position. If we're serving Jesus Christ, we're servants. The first come last and the last come first. We serve each other. Nobody is better than anybody. And we need to truly understand that and truly be teaching this. And if you're not teaching it, and if you're having members of your team that aren't following this, you need to pull them aside and have a long conversation with them. Now, the second thing that happened right after I put that email out about us getting more and more involved in talking to people, there was a gentleman that came into the church and cornered our pastor. They had a conversation. Safety team members were close by. They were in the vicinity where they were supposed to be. Everything went well as far as what they were supposed to be. But after it was over with, one of my guys, and now the guy left the pastor and then circled around the second time and talked to the pastor again. Now, when one of the safety team members went up to him and said, hey, is that guy a possible threat? Why do we have to ask the pastor if he's a possible threat? Why shouldn't we have been involved in that conversation? Why shouldn't we have walked up when we see that it's going very long? Because your pastor may look at you like Johnny wanted to and say, hey, can you talk to this guy about the men's groups that we have here? Can you just have a conversation with him? He's needing some information. Can you help him? Why should we go to our pastor to find out if this guy's a threat? Why shouldn't we be talking and making that judgment ourselves? And so this is another reason why I really feel like we need to get more involved with who's coming into the church, talking to them. Something that does not look right, then we talk. Now, in my teaching, I do talk about where we see people that might be hurting, of trying to get a minister over to talk to them. I still truly believe in that, because I want us to make sure that we get the right people with the right person. Now, I'm also implementing this in our safety team to where we're going to have a guy that floats so that he doesn't really have a position, because if somebody gets tied up with talking to somebody or witnessing to somebody, then this floater can take his position until he gets free. So these are some trainings that we're going to be working on. These are some things that we're going to be putting together. And I kind of want to show you a video that just was sent to me that at first I really thought it was put on. And I'm going to do one of two things. Right now, I'm going to stop the share. So you're going to see me for a second, then I'm going to come back in and do the share again, because I want to make sure that you get the video, the sound on it. So give me 1 second here. This is the technical difficulties that we're going to do right here. So I'm going to share it. And I'm going to make sure that the sound is on so you get to hear this. All right, so I'm going to show you some video here. Now, this is Faithful Word Baptist Church, and this was sent over from the Faith-Based Security Network group. Somebody had spotted this video, and at first, the first time I looked at it, I felt that it might have been staged. But then I went out and did my homework on this church, and I really don't think this was staged. And this is really sad, because I want you to pay attention to what happens here. So here we go.
What do you want? What?
I just want a prayer, man.
Get out of here.
Can I get a little grace?
No, you can't. No, you get out of here. Get him out of here. Drag this bozo out. Pull him out. Hey, help him out. Get him out. And you know what? Anybody wants to come up here and take over the service? We'll throw you out of here, buddy. This church is not a free-for-all. This isn't an open mic. This isn't a karaoke bar. Okay? I'm the man of God here. I meet the qualifications. I run this church. And if you don't like it, then get out. This is not some church where every first-time visitor and brand new believer and people who've never even read the Bible are going to come up and take over the service. Not happening. Okay? If you want that kind of watered-down leadership, go to some house church with your Amish.
Let me go back, because it didn't do what I wanted it to do. I want to show you the guy that escorted the guy out with the glasses on and the gloves. But anyway, you get the gist. I'm not going to go back. We're going to use that as a training. We're going to start using that as a training. So here's my question to you. When people are coming into your church, is this what they see? Is this what they see? Did they see the guy that's in the suit, with the radio, and he's just staring at everybody that walks in and judging them? Is that what you want your church to be remembered of? Or is this what your church sees? To where there's warm and welcoming, everybody's welcome to the church. And that's the way we should be. But also our safety teams need to learn how to talk to people, because so many of them don't want to. They've got to learn how to witness. They've got to learn how to talk. They've got to learn how to be, and see, there's several other things that they're doing here. They're gathering information while they talk to these people. We had a situation where we had a small group that Wendy and I were going to. And on the first night that we went there, a gentleman walked into the small group, and he had a look on his face like he was ready to kill somebody. I mean, his look was scary. And I thought to myself, I said, this guy does not want to be here. His wife has forced him to come. And I was just like, get ready for this. He's going to be trouble all night long. Well, as the it was the first night that the small group had got together. And so as we started talking, I found out that this gentleman had been involved in an accident and had had an extreme head injury, and that him being the way he is now is a miracle that he is even alive. But yet it's very difficult for him to filter himself because of his head injury. And his looks are always that way. They're intense, they scare people. But the thing, as I got to talking to him and got an opportunity to get to know more about him, I realized that the reason why he was this way was because of the injury. But deep down inside, I liked his heart. I really did. And it didn't hurt that he was a Dallas Cowboy fan like me, but it was this type of thing, that intelligent gathering information, because 2 weeks later, one of our safety team members took a picture of this guy and said, "Hey, y'all watch this guy here in this row." They were talking about it. And I was out of town and the picture came out, and I looked at it real quick and saw that it was this gentleman. So I immediately went back and said, "Gentlemen, I know this guy. It is just his demeanor. There's a medical issue here. There's a medical history here. And that's just the way he is. He does not participate in the worship service. He does listen, but he doesn't have a filter. And so he may come across as a harsh person, but his wife is beautiful. They've been working together. They're hoping, they're going to doctors, they're trying to, he improves every time that you kind of see him. But it's just one of these issues that if I had not talked to this guy before, we probably would have not known this. And of course, then he would have been, hopefully somebody would have walked up and started talking to him and they would have realized. But being that I had, it was one of these things that I felt like that we had done the right thing. So I see that there's a couple of questions out there, Jessica, or chats. You want to go with it?
Yeah, so basically Steve Florkey said, interesting that you choose ambassador as a title. I am a music leader for my congregation, and I often pray that God will equip us as his ambassadors for the coming week. And then Dave Johnson said, I train my teams that the first person someone sees is a team member greeting them, and the last they see when leaving is a team member wishing them to have a good week and to say, see you next week.
That's great. That's great.
And then
really
quick, there was somebody else asking about the current events. And I just want to say, you can send me a message now and I'll write your email down. But like I said, we're going to send out a follow-up email. Then you can email us back just so we make sure that we get your email. And then also, we do have an Instagram page specifically for current events that's called at TSA Church News. And I'll send that in the email as well, if anybody's interested in that.
All right. If you got some more questions, we got a couple of more minutes. Please don't sign off yet. Please do not sign off. We've got a lot of stuff that we're going to cover here. We've got some upcoming dates. We got some training. We got our Church Safety Network group meetings are starting off this quarter. We're going to be in Pasco County. You can get more information on our webpage. I didn't put all the addresses and all that stuff like this, but on the 25th of this month, we'll be here in Pasco County at our church, Generations Christian Church. On the 27th, we're going to be in Hillsborough County. On February the 1st, we're going to be in one of our new members. Calvary Baptist is a new member of ours, and we're really excited about this. And so we're going to be at their church. So if you're in the Pinellas County area, please, please, please come out. Listen, if you're in the Pasco or the Hillsborough area, please come out. We're really excited about being inside Calvary. We'll be at Polk on the 5th of February. And like I said, all these events are out on the Trinity Security Allies webpage. We also have a children's safety event coming up on May the 5th. Now, this is a really important event because what we're talking about are the things that we're seeing that are happening to churches right now in children's ministry. And it is a must. It is a must. Anybody that is with your children's ministry should come to this event. We're going to have a bunch of speakers. We're going to have 3 speakers. Even Jessica's going to speak on some of the stuff that she did working with Chains Interrupted over in Iowa back in the summer. So this is great information for you to come. We're going to put out more stuff on it. We're going to talk about it more. I'm going to invite some of the speakers on the Zooms that we're doing or the webinars that we're doing. So you'll get to see some of them and hear from some of them, but this is a very important event. I don't know if you saw something today, but one of the major newspaper companies put out a post about people do not understand pedophiles, that we don't understand them. It is not that they're sexual deviants. It's just that they like younger children. Now that is just mind-boggling that was put out. And I'm going to do some more work on that because we're going to talk about that, because what they're trying to do is sway the public opinion that this is not as bad as it seems. It is terrible. It's the worst thing ever. But what they're really trying to do is to get it out here that, listen, they're human too. Yes, they have a soul. Yes, we have to love on them as God tells us to. But if they're sinning and hurting our children, they have to be punished by the law. And so this just really disturbs me that a major news organization would come out and say, hey, we're just looking at these people the wrong way. So this children's safety event is very important. We want all children's leaders to be there. Some other stuff that we have going on. All right, members only. Go back. Members only, Thursday, January 20th. This is a Zoom call. This is if you're a member of our Trinity Security Allies, and this can be very easy. You can do it today. Then we're going to have a Zoom call to where you can talk about things that are going on in your church, events that you may be having in your church, some training and different things like that you want to share with other churches. So this is on Thursday, January 20th, which will be next week. All right. Once again, I'm going to push this and push it until the end. If you carry conceal, you need to have some sort of protection. You don't drive without having some sort of insurance. So please get out here right now and start looking at this if you're going to carry inside your church. We're going to be doing a lot more on firearms this year. We're going to be talking a lot more on firearms. I've had a couple of different scenarios couple different situations where I've been talking to churches about use of force and also firearm training. And we're going to get really into that. I'm probably going to see if I can't find an attorney that'll come and talk with us on this. So, but if you carry, you should be having some sort of protection. This is an old one. We don't have any. We have the paper book back, and it's a $20 donation. It's doing well. If you've not bought your copy, you need to. Really, you get to find out who I am and what I'm all about and how God's grace has helped us as far as me in my walk and can help anybody in their walk. We have free resources out there. If you go to our webpage, you can see putting together a safety plan, developing a safety team, carrying weapons in the church, and Sunday morning what to look for. We really, as Trinity Security Allies, need to put some more out there. And so we're going to be working on some of those also. All right, online membership program. Sign up today to access our online church safety training libraries for just $25 a month. Then you can also come to our Zoom calls, live online trainings. You can access at any time and share with your team. Membership will give you a ticket to our annual church safety and liability conference. We're already planning next year, and we're really excited about it, or this year, and we're really excited about who we're going to have come and speak. A membership also supports our memory. We cannot continue unless you're out there helping us out. We also look at our church safety and security membership program of where this has gone up. We're going to have to modify this. If you get in right now, I will say 125 or 1,200 for the year, but this is going to go up. We just had to. We cannot continue to do the things that we're doing and give you the type of training that we're doing at the price that we've been charging for our last 5 years. So this gives you a 2-hour training session or a full day training session, scheduled phone call consultants on safety concerns as needed, 5 tickets to our annual church safety and liability conference. discounted full strength and weakness assessment with recommendations detailing priorities in your houses of worship. And the safety team has full access to online library and monthly member calls. If your church cannot afford a membership, we have multiple churches that have contacted local business owners in their church to help sponsor their church safety membership. And we call them our Centurion Club. You can visit TrinitySecurityAllies.com or contact Wendy at TrinitySecurityAllies.com. I cannot tell you how important it is that we start to look at the world through a Christian lens. I'm going to tell you something that just happened today. I was reading about it this morning, heard it on the news. It just happened within the last 18 hours. I don't know if you've paid attention to the news, but the Teachers Association or the Teachers Union had sent a letter to the Department of Justice about parents being domestic terrorists. Now, of course, it blew up in their face, and there were a lot of people. It really, to tell you the truth, it kind of switched Virginia from a blue state to a red state. Well, I found out today that not only had one of the teachers' unions gone and done this written this letter to the DOJ, but the other teachers' union had also sent a letter to all the tech companies. That's Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter. And they sent letters to them that said, anybody that goes out and gives bad information or pushes against critical race theory should be silenced, just like they are if they give out bad COVID information. Now, I have been hit twice on COVID stuff, and it's really ridiculous because the first time we talked about COVID shutting down the churches, but nothing about any cures, any vaccines, or anything like that. The second thing I got hit was because I reposted a stupid joke about the Omicron variants of the virus. And it was funny because Jessica sent it to me because they said it was not good or it was improper information, something like that. I can't remember now what it was. So let me explain this to you. This letter that just went out by the other teachers union, the NAB, I can't remember, NAE, the NAE. If they start talking about that, if your church says that critical race theory is a sin, is not biblically based, we do not look at each other by our colors. We look at what is in our hearts, what is in our souls, who we are. And if you say that you're against this, they're asking the big tech companies to now shut you down. These are the things that we talk about. Please go out. We're out on YouTube. True Christian Talk, subscribe, because the more people that we get to subscribe to our YouTube page, the harder it is for them to take us off. We know that they have done several things to kind of shorten up our membership. They've kind of quit posting things to people, but we're still out there doing it, and we're going to do it until they shut us completely down. And then after that, we'll probably go somewhere else because we will not be silenced on this. We're going to talk about these issues that are facing Christians today. And I don't have time to continue to talk about everything that we're talking about, but go out and to YouTube, look at True Christian Talk. Now you might have to put it in parentheses because there's a lot of true Christian stuff out there, but you will see our logo, The World Through a Christian Lens. And you need to be listening to some of these things because it will educate you. It will help you if you don't have time to be listening to the news, but it'll tell you about things that are very scary going on out here. And they're going to be eventually be attacks on churches. So if your church comes out and says it is against critical race theory because it's not biblically based, the National Education Association wants to shut you down. So understand that. Understand these are things that they're doing out there. So are there any other questions?
Tom McElroy asked your thoughts on the Byrna non-lethal gun.
I really haven't seen it. I'm not for sure what it is. Tell him, send the information to me and I'll post something on it.
Okay.
It shoots pepper balls. I'm just looking at this.
Yeah, I just Googled it and it talked about being powered by compressed air. It shoots 68 caliber round kinetic and chemical irritant projectiles.
Let me just say this. Until I get a good look at this one. I am very against dispersing any type of pepper spray, or anything like that inside your church building. And the reason why, it is an aerosol. And if you have elderly people or people with chest issues or oh gosh, I can't even think of it, breathing issues, I'm telling you right now, you're opening yourself up to getting into some trouble. Because if you shoot out pepper spray, a pepper ball, anything like that, like I said, because it is an aerosol, it's going to spray. That they will tell you, oh yeah, well, we use the foam. It still spreads out. People close by will start. And if they have respiratory problems, that's the word I was looking for. If they have respiratory problems, you're going to have a lot of people going down. I have been around pepper spray. I've been sprayed by pepper spray. And I'm telling you right now, the first thing it does is close down your breathing and your throat, and it clogs up your nose to where you can't breathe through it because you're snotting everywhere. I mean, I'm not trying to be gross, but that's what happens. And if your elderly people who have respiratory problems get hit by this, it scares me. I really am not for any type of chemical or I know that pepper spray is organic, spray like this inside of a church building. Listen, seriously, having cleared out a mall by spraying pepper spray at one in the mall. We had some disruptive people inside. It was a large crowd. We weren't really for sure what we were going to do. We stood at one end of the hallway and opened up the door on the other end and sprayed pepper spray in there, and it cleaned out the whole place. So it is nasty stuff. I'm telling you, if you've never been sprayed by it, I would recommend that you go and do it, because after that, you're probably not going to want to be spraying it around anybody. So please, please, please do not use it inside. If you run into a situation that you feel like it's necessary to use one of these agents and it's outside and there's plenty of, air and all these things like that, then use your judgment. I recommend pepper spray. I really do, to individuals that do not want to carry a gun. I mean, I recommend it. I think it's a great tool in case you were to get attacked or somebody would come at you. But I would not recommend it inside your church just because of the people that are in there. I know how many elderly I have, and I would never put something like that out there. And I'll be glad to talk to anybody about it at length. All they got to do is just contact me.
Yeah, I put out your email in the comments. It's just jim@trinitysecurityallies.com.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to send him an email, get more information, stuff like that. And then Tom McElroy said, I agree with you on the use of OC inside. Don't.
Yeah.
Exclamation point, all caps.
Yeah, Tom, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, it is nasty stuff. It really is. Anybody else?
I am not seeing any more questions.
All right. Well, thanks for coming out. I'm just super excited that we're getting 2022 off with a good group tonight. I really appreciate everybody that came out. If you have any questions, you know where to contact us, TrinitySecurityAllies.com. Just put Jim in front of it at TrinitySecurityAllies.com, or Jessica at TrinitySecurity.com, or Wendy. And oh, by the way, for those of you that are on, if you happen to think about it tomorrow, reach out to Wendy because it is her birthday. She doesn't think I know, but I do know.
Yes,
it's her birthday.
Please bombard Wendy at TrinitySecurityAllies.com with multiple birthday messages tomorrow.
Yes, please do. Please do. Is she on?
She is not on, no.
Okay, so she doesn't know we said this. So everybody, contact her tomorrow. Wish her a happy birthday. All right, folks, really appreciate you coming out tonight. I was really excited about getting back. We're going to be doing, I think we're going to change some of this a little bit with what we might do, because the thing of it is I can still do a slideshow if we just do an open Zoom to where everybody can come on. And that way, if you have questions, you can ask, and then other people may, will allow you to talk. So we're looking at this. We kind of want to change it around a little bit because we want to get everybody together, fellowship, and have a good time while we learn stuff. So if there's not any more questions, God bless all of you, and we'll be talking to you in a couple of weeks. We'll be a live Zoom next week, but God bless. and we'll talk to you soon.